Diversity counts, racism and retention strategies for librarians of color. Why diversity? Diversity is important in libraries because it encourages equality. Our academic libraries have not reflected diversity and have been very white. Libraries are a place where all people should be embraced and represented. Librarians of color and academia. Librarians of color have had to forge their own path. Universities such as Towson have a diversity initiative plan, and in this plan, Towson has committed to increase black faculty from 4% to 10% in a certain amount of time. And this is the trait and the practice of most universities in our country. The challenges, however, are that diversity initiatives are often implemented in a very slow way or progressive way. But it's progressive in thought, but it's not necessarily in process. Some of the problems. Racism in academia has been a real problem, and libraries are no different. Librarians of color have often had to struggle for a voice in a university library. Retention. Librarians of color may be recruited by recruiting efforts of a university, but the issues of retention have always been the problem. The research by Alabi in 2015 speaks of microaggressions often being the root cause to librarians of color fleeing academia. Some of the terminologies that were discussed in the article were microaggressions. And microaggressions are putting people of color down by nonverbal or verbal exchanges. Microinsults. This is verbal abuse in a condensed form using racial pejoratives on purpose. Microassaults. This is insensitivity or rudeness towards another person of color. And then microinvalidations. These are terms that people of color are excluded from organizational structures and or conversations. Some of the solutions. First, we would make sure that there's a good succession plan where diverse candidates are brought to the table for consideration of library management positions. Another good solution would be networking. Networking for librarians of color can help to build connections and also exchange morale, stories, and experiences. Professional development. This is where not only will the librarians of color be trained, but also some of the white faculty and staff can be trained on cross-cultural communications and practices. And finally, mentorship is another way that we can have a good solution to diversity. Here are some statistics of librarian of color in different categories. For example, in academic libraries, Native Americans only make about 57%, 0.57%, and 0.25 in the public, and only about 1 in the statistics of school libraries. But if you look at white, you'll see that in academic libraries, you have 86.78% of librarians who are white, and represented by public libraries being 86%. And then in school libraries, 90% are white. And then if you can look at Asian and Pacific Islander to Black to Hispanic, you can see that these populations are highly underrepresented in our society. Diversity is something that we should embrace and that we should encourage. Some of my conclusions would be that actions speak louder than words. Intentionality on the part of the universities has to be practiced. Diversity is good, and all organizations should embrace all people. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but my overall hope is that we will see more diversity in academia. Thank you.